Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/entitledparents. So let's sit back, relax and enjoy some Reddit stories. Today I had a parent get mad at me for not letting her child eat something he's allergic to. I'm a pre-K teacher and one of our kids is having a birthday party on Monday. As I'm about to go to my lunch break, I hear my boss calling, "Parent on line 1. Well, whatever. That's entitled mother. She wants to know why we didn't feed her child, why we are excluding him. I'm sorry, but Kevin ate all his lunch with no issues. No, the birthday party. Why are you not letting him have anything? I'm sorry, entitled mother, but I won't let you yell at me. If you're ready to talk, I'd like you to rephrase that, or you can call another time. Entitled mother calmed down and started her poor wronged lady act. Kevin came home crying yesterday because you guys said he isn't allowed to eat anything. He has to bring food from home, and he feels excluded because all of his friends will be eating cake, but he isn't allowed. Well, the party will be on Monday. We told him to let you know, so you can pack him some gluten-free snacks, since I don't know what the other parents will bring for the birthday party. Unfortunately, I don't know what is safe for Kevin to eat, so it would be better and safer for everyone if you could just pack a gluten-free cupcake, and we'll take care of the rest. But Kevin won't be having cake with his friends. If you send us cake, we'll make sure he does. Will that be all? Can you ask the other parents to bring gluten-free snacks? No, that's up to the other parents. Why are you guys bullying us? That's not fair. You're excluding my baby because of a disability. My lawyer will be involved. I hang up the call and let my boss know what happened. Right now, I'm just dreading the end of my lunch break and having to handle that hot load of BS coming my way. I mean, it sucks, yeah, that he can't eat it with his friends, but if he just sits on the same table and puts the cake like next to it or something, then it's the exact same thing, really. Entitled parent harassed kids at park. 4 years later, became maid at my house and stole my stuff. So back when I was 12, my family and I lived at a very small town, a place where everyone knew each other and no real problems took place. It was a calm, safe environment completely free of Karens, which is why after this one time, entitled parent and entitled kid showed up, things started getting annoying. There was a park right next to my house, named after my nickname because all my friends would go there to have fun, and since it had no real name, they decided to name it after the closest person there. Naturally, I used to go there as well. Can't say it was a special park, but it sure was the only one where we lived. Since we, my group of classmates and friends, knew everyone at the park, we got a little surprised after seeing this new couple of individuals. They seemed normal at first. The entitled kid was a 5-year-oldish chubby boy, and he got used to having fun with us. We were nice kids too, but the entitled parent we never really liked. She always looked smug and annoyed by something, and soon enough, our suspicions of her not being that good of a person were confirmed. This park was so small, parents didn't even show up with their kids. So, seeing entitled parent was also quite new. One time, the entitled kid got a little upset over us not letting him on the slide as much. There was literally just one slide in the entire park, but we just told him to wait his turn, which he responded to by saying something incredibly rude that you can't really say in English. Basically a slur that you'd only hear from some crazy racist 80-year-old. We were astonished. All of us knew the slur, but we had never used it in a hateful manner, and generally being raised as angels, this really bothered us. I personally was kind of the leader, so I told the entitled kid to not speak like that, as we're all friends. after what he started crying. You all know what comes next. Entitled Parent was closely watching us from a few benches that were at the park, and after Entitled Kid started bawling, she rushed over with a disturbingly furious look on her face. She came up to me and yelled, "What the heck did you do to him?" Again, I can't quite translate how much she was cussing, but believe me, it's like saying the N-word 5 times in a sentence. Nothing. I only told him not to curse because he used a bad word. "Stop lying! You made him cry on purpose, didn't you? You freaking kids! Where are your parents?" Now, I was a pretty hot-headed kid, so when this random lady started being disrespectful like that, and being the leader of the group, I decided to raise my tone a little and respond accordingly. "Excuse me, but we didn't do anything wrong. Your kid cursed and got the correct response to it. You should have taught him not to say these words, and don't talk to my friends like that." And then she freaking slapped me. Now, I don't know about other places, but where I live, slapping someone else's kid is something you don't even think about. So when she did it, I wasn't feeling pain. I was just amazed what an entitled parent is capable of. My friends were equally jaw-dropped. We immediately ran off and saw from the far how entitled parent was now going down the slide alone. I told my mum about this incident and she was furious. Keep in mind, I was an only child, raised as her angel, and I guess she was pretty entitled about me too, but not to the point of being a Karen. She asked me what she looked like, and I told her, short, dark brown skin, brown hair, around her 40s. She told me that she would call the police, but I don't know how that ended, as that must have happened while I was in school. The entitled parent and entitled kid were around for like 1 more week until they straight up vanished. Fast forward 4 years. My mum was sick and tired of constantly having to clean and tidy up our house, so my parents agreed to getting a maid. I wasn't too stoked about that idea though, since I didn't like having strangers in my house, which is the reason why I never had a babysitter too. Anyway, there's no point hiding it. The maid was the goddamn entitled parent. I do not know how that is possible, because we moved to a different city after I turned 14, so we could live closer to my grandparents, but it happened. The woman that slapped me in the cheek when I was 12 was now a maid in my house, 400 kilometers away from where I used to live. The first time I saw her, I almost went in shock. I actually had to leave and think about what was going on. I wasn't sure if it was her, but ended up confirming this later. I went to tell my mum about this, and she believed me, but she told me that it wasn't a big deal and that we shouldn't do anything about it now, because the entitled parent was asking a low butt price of just €10 an hour. This is an extraordinarily low price where I live, and my mum even insisted on giving entitled parent a bigger payment. Surprisingly enough, the entitled parent didn't remember me, and she wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. She was just doing her job. The entitled kid was not with her though, until the 3rd time we asked her to come over. My mum told me that entitled parent had asked us if she could bring her 9-year-old kid over, as he had nowhere to stay. My mum agreed. This was an instant red flag, as it perfectly matched the description of the entitled parent I knew. And what do you know? It was indeed the couple I was worried of. The entitled kid had gotten even chubbier and instantly recognized me. I knew that because of the way he was looking at me, but I don't know if he told the entitled parent about it. Everything was going smoothly. I allowed entitled kid to play with my toys I didn't use, until the entitled kid came over to watch me play on my PSP. It was a pretty big thing back in the day, so I wasn't surprised he was curious. Entitled kid asked me what it was, to which I replied that it was a PSP. He told me that he hopes he'll get one of his own soon. After that, all he did was watch me while I was playing, and that was all. The entitled parent and entitled kid left in an hour, after getting their €10. The next time we asked the entitled parent to come over, didn't go well at all. See, I told my mum specifically to tell the entitled parent to not go in my room for privacy, as my room never needed cleaning and I didn't need strangers there. Which she told her, but after I was out of the house, it was the entitled parent's time to shine. I was always hanging out with friends. After I came back home, started to look for my PSP in my room, and I couldn't find it. I also couldn't find 2 of my mini helicopters that were really expensive at the time. I immediately rushed over to my mum and asked if the entitled parent had gone into my room. She said she probably didn't. We called her, asked about her, and she denied going in my room. I was really disappointed. I got angry at my mum and told her not to let entitled parent in our house again. She understood herself about my concerns and agreed to finish with her. But there was a slight problem. My mum had recommended the entitled parent to one of her friends, whose son was one of my best friends. So I had an idea. I asked my friend to see if the entitled parent will bring her kid over, and if she does, ask the entitled kid if he has a PSP. You all know how this ended. I know it may seem unreal and made up, but the little brat brought the PSP with him. My friend managed to tell me the serial code of it, and it was confirmed to be mine. My friend ended up telling his mum about it, and the entitled parent was soon confronted about it. Long story short, I got my PSP back. My 2 helicopters were gone though. I asked my mother about this a week ago. According to her, entitled parent was prosecuted for theft, and unfortunately for her, not petty theft, which is stealing something below the price of €100. She had to spend 6 months in prison, which I strongly disagree with, but laws here are laws. She should have gotten way more, and had to pay us around €30,000. So she got what was coming, thankfully. F for the mini helicopters though. This was about 12 years ago. How do I remember it? Who knows? Wait, did I read that wrong as €30,000? Because that seems like a lot of euros to give to the person for stealing that. It might be like €300 or something. But still, she is a crazy, crazy woman, and that's an F in the chat for those helicopters. Entitled mother forces me to get out of a hospital bed because her child wanted to lay in it. So this happened in 2012. I live in Canada and was cleaning some old bird's nest I found in my gutters. My house was like 2 floors high, so I needed a ladder. When I reached the top to get the bird's nest out of there, I fainted and collapsed. I fell off the ladder and hit my head on the ground so hard. I went to the hospital to recover, since my neighbor found me lying on the ground. I woke up then. I found out that I fractured my collarbone, my left 3 ribs, and my left leg. I had to stay at the hospital to recover from the accident. I then woke up at 5 AM to see this child tugging my arm. The child was whispering to me in a very angry tone, telling me to get out of the bed. I couldn't move, since I didn't want to cause harm to my broken bones. The child started complaining to his mum that he wanted to go on the bed. The mother's response was not at all what I expected it to be. "Excuse me, but my child wants to get on the bed. Leave so he can get in." "No, I won't. I just fractured many parts in my body and I need this bed to recover." "Recover? You look so well. Get up now." "Doesn't matter. I fractured many parts of my body. Even if I did get out, I would have the risk of hurting myself." "Okay, then make some room." I honestly didn't know what to do at this point. I tried to get that dial switcher to call a nurse, but it was too far away. The kid started pulling on the hospital bed sheets and started to get in. My instant reflex was to shoo him with my right arm. "Are you trying to hurt my boy?" "No, leave now or I will call the nurses." She doesn't respond and starts to help her kid get in. It took 5 minutes for me to get the dial switcher and call for a nurse. They were kicked out of the hospital for tampering with patients. "How dare you grab onto me, you demon!" She said that to the nurse. When she was being escorted, she punched one of the nurses, and the mother was taken in to do 50 hours of community service for assaulting a nurse. I was so lucky that I grabbed the dial switcher before things got worse. Okay, it's one thing for a kid to go up to some stranger and say, "Can I play on your phone or something?" And then the entitled parent going, "Oh, let him play on your phone, please." That's wrong, but going into a hospital and asking if they can lay on the bed when they're a patient? How crazy. Entitled parent thinks it's fine to bring her kids to an R-rated horror movie and then snaps at me when I swear. A couple of years ago, I went to see Chapter 1 of It. Despite being 16 years old at the time, that movie was so scary that I nearly screamed my lungs out. When the movie ended, I got up from my seat, turned around and addressed the rest of the audience saying the following: "I'm sorry for screaming so loud, folks, but that was the scariest freaking movie I've ever seen." Then, out of nowhere, comes this Karen-like voice from behind me, a row or two in front of my seat. "Can you not swear, please? I have kids with me." I turn around and see that the lady does in fact have 2 kids, about 6 to 8 years old with her. I was so confused and stunned that I just walked out of the movie theater without saying a word. Well, that mother right there is definitely gonna have to deal with nightmares for the next couple of years, so that's on her.
Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.